You know how it is, right? A business has a problem. Maybe they say something like, "We're just too slow." And somehow that vague complaint has to turn into an actual piece of software that works. Well, how does that happen? It's definitely not magic. It's a very specific, structured process. And that's the journey we're going on today, from a fuzzy problem to a finished, working product. So every great solution, it always starts with a really clear problem. Just imagine this. A company is taking like 15, even 20 days to pay its vendors. That means they're getting hit with late fees, they're missing out on early payment discounts. It's a mess. Their goal, it's ambitious. They want to slash that time to under 3 days. Wow, that is a massive gap to close. And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? How in the world do we build a bridge from that problem to a real technical solution? I mean, you can't just walk over to the developers and say, "Hey, make it faster." That's not going to work. You need a blueprint. Okay, so what is this bridge actually made of? Well, it's built from two core components that are totally intertwined: requirements and design. This right here is the absolutely critical link that translates what the business wants into something the tech team can actually build. And this is pretty much the universal path for any project, really. You start with the need, that's our invoice problem. Then you translate that need into clear requirements. You can't start building yet. Only then can you create a design based on those requirements. And finally, that design becomes the working solution. See how it's like a waterfall? One thing flows logically into the next, from a vague problem to a concrete answer. All right, let's zoom in on that first piece of the puzzle, a requirement. The easiest way to think about it is that a requirement lives entirely in the world of the problem. It has nothing to do with databases or code or buttons on a screen. It's all about answering one simple question: what does the business need to achieve and why? Then, on the flip side, you've got design. If requirements are the what, design is the how. This is where things get real, where the solution actually starts to take shape. This is the technical blueprint, the app wireframes, the system architecture, the whole shebang. And this quote, man, it just nails it. You absolutely positively need both sides of this bridge. Requirements, make sure you're solving the right problem, and design, make sure you're building the solution right. If you get either one of those wrong, your bridge is going to collapse and you won't get to your destination. Okay, so if we're going to build this bridge, what's it made of? What are the actual materials? Well, requirements aren't just one big, messy pile of information. A good business analyst sorts them into 4 very distinct types. Think of these as 4 buckets that you can use to sort all the information that's flying around. You've got business, stakeholder, and solution requirements. Those cover what the final product will be. There's also a 4th one, transition requirements, which is more about the temporary stuff, like moving data from an old system to a new one. We're going to mostly focus on those first 3 for now because they're the ones that really define the solution itself. This is how you start to bring order to chaos.
All right, first up, the business requirement. You got to think of this as the super high-level 30,000-foot view. It is the core why behind the entire project, that single big-picture goal that gives everything else its purpose.
And boom, here it is for our invoice problem. This sentence right here, it's like the North Star for the entire project. Everything that comes after this has to help achieve this goal. It's clear, it's measurable, and it tells you exactly what the business value is. Okay, so we've got the big picture. Now let's zoom way in, down to the people on the ground. Stakeholder requirements ask, okay, how does this big goal actually affect the real people doing the work? What does the manager need to see? What does the accounts clerk actually need to do to make this whole thing work? See how specific that is? It's not vague at all. The manager isn't the one paying the invoices, but for the company to hit its big 3-day goal, she needs to see what's going on in real time. This requirement links a specific person's needs directly back to the project's main mission. All right, let's dive into the most detailed bucket of all, solution requirements. This is where we get into the real nitty-gritty of the software itself, and it's actually split into 2 incredibly important subcategories. And this is a really, really important distinction to get. Functional requirements are about what the system does. These are its features. It has to extract data from a PDF. It needs to send a notification. But non-functional requirements, they're all about how well it does it, its qualities. How fast is it? How secure is it? How many invoices can it handle at once? Now, this is a perfect example of a non-functional requirement, and it is a huge deal. A system that can process one invoice a day might work in theory, but in the real world, it's totally useless. But a system that can handle 10,000 invoices every single day without breaking a sweat, now that is a successful system. A single number like this can completely change the entire technical design of a project. And this right here is exactly why this stuff matters so much. Think about it. So many big, expensive projects go down in flames, not because they were missing a feature, but because they were just too slow, or they couldn't handle the user load, or they weren't secure. These so-called qualities aren't just nice-to-have details. They are absolutely fundamental to success. Okay, so we've talked about all these different types of requirements, but where do they come from? I mean, how do you actually get them? Because in the real world, they definitely don't show up in a neat little package. It's all about taking a messy, chaotic conversation and turning into a structured plan. Let me tell you, when you first talk to a client or a user, they do not hand you a neat, tidy list of requirements. What you get is a stream of consciousness, complaints, wild ideas, frustrations, feature requests, all jumbled up together. It's total, unstructured chaos. And this right here is the magic. This is the key skill of a great business analyst. They listen to all of that chaos and start sorting it into our 4 buckets. So when someone says, we're losing money on late fees, boom, that's the high-level business requirement. I can't see which invoices are stuck. Okay, that's a stakeholder need. The system needs to read the invoice total. Yep, that's a functional requirement. And it has to be fast, especially at month end. That's a critical non-functional one. This is the actual process of creating clarity from chaos. And at the end of the day, this is their superpower. This is the core value they bring to the table. They take that jumble of human needs, frustrations, and ideas and translate it into the clear, categorized, and unambiguous language that a team can use to build something amazing. So I want to leave you with a final thought. The next time you use an app that just feels right, it's fast, it's reliable, it's secure, remember, that's not an accident. It's powered by all those hidden, non-functional requirements working behind the scenes. It's not just about what the app does, it's about how well it does it. So think about it. What are those invisible qualities that make the tech you use every single day feel so effortless?